Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I am Danny. We're here on the 7-Figure Real Estate Agent, and do we have an awesome treat for you today? We got Ray Fernandez. He's going to introduce himself in just a second. This episode is brought to you by All-Star VAs. If you want to scale your business, grow your profit, and get your time back, click the link down in that description. Check out allstarvas.com. Book a consultation. We'll hook you up with a great virtual assistant. All right, so Ray Fernandez, tell us all about where you sell real estate, what you do. So excited to have you on.
That's great, Danny. Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure. It's truly an honor to be here. I am broadcasting to you guys from Palm Beach, Florida, probably the fastest growing area in the whole country, maybe in the world. I'm the owner of Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Realty. I'm part of eXp Luxury, and that is what we do here. We help. Our main goal, our main objective is to help people basically find out what we have going here. 19 years ago, I moved down here, and we help people do exactly the same thing here today.
That's awesome, Ray. And so I'm sure a lot of agents refer to you down in that area, but you also get a lot of relocation buyers. I was actually going to say, you don't sound like you're from Palm Beach. Where are you from originally?
No, that's true. I'm from the Bronx originally, and I do speak a little funny. I've been told from time to time. And the truth is, it actually helps resonate with the people that we help serve. A lot of people find us on YouTube. So we have a very active YouTube channel. It's, if you go to YouTube and type in Living in Palm Beach, Florida, you will find us. I'm on there literally every single week, been that way for years. And part of the reason why some people reach out to us, we get a lot of people from the Northeast. They can relate to the fact that I've done it, and I'm hopefully going to do it for them here going forward here in the year 2025.
Yes, sir. And that's exactly what I wanted to get into next is your YouTube channel. Of course, check out the link down in the description or wherever you're watching this or listening to it. So Ray, talk to me about YouTube. How did you get into that? Because I think you were one of the early real estate agents to jump on.
I'd like to think so. And I'm still, even though I've been doing it for several years, probably 6 years ago, I'm still a student of it because YouTube, the algorithm, is owned by Google, as you know, Danny, and the algorithm changes all the time. And you really need to keep abreast as to what makes and what's successful, how it leads to people, because it changes so often. But I like to think that I've adjusted so many times since then. And my objective is to reach people who are literally going into YouTube and saying, moving to Palm Beach, Florida, and I want to be there for them. And my intention is to get those exact people as a suggested video, ideally, for the people looking to do exactly that.
I want to escape New York, and I want to go to Palm Beach.
It happens. And it sort of goes outside New York. Then you have the Pennsylvania area, then you have Boston. And we are getting a lot more people from all across the land now in your area, people moving from Texas and California. So it's more of a nationwide thing. In fact, it's more of a worldwide thing. We actually see people from Canada coming here pretty often, and not even South America. So that's one of the things we do. We help people who are considering this area, and it's truly an honor to help.
So Ray, talk to me about, I'm curious, with YouTube. So you put out a YouTube video, obviously multiple videos, and then people watch those. And what's the typical process like for people to reach out to you through YouTube? Are they, calling you, texting you, booking a call? How does that whole thing work? Are you stressed out juggling? Oh, shoot, I really can't juggle. Now my dog's gonna grab all of it. Okay, listen, this video is brought to you by All-Star VAs. Are you stressed out juggling your calendar, your email, all of the tasks you have to do, plus your personal life, which doesn't leave you any time to actually do the stuff that you got into real estate to do, like going on client appointments, negotiating deals, all the fun stuff? Look, if that's you, I have a solution for you. My team of all-star virtual assistants helps me do all of those things so that I can do the stuff that I love doing. And we can install an all-star virtual assistant for you in your business, whether that's an executive assistant, a social media manager to blow up all your accounts, a marketing manager, an inside sales associate, a customer care manager, and plenty of other positions starting as low as $4 an hour. All you got to do is go to allstarvas.com, book a call with our team. We'll tell you all about the program and see if it's a fit for you. All right, back to the video.
Great question. My process is to get to connect with them, ideally for the first time over Zoom. So when you see my, if you were to watch one of my videos, guys out there, it'll say please reach out either through email, text, or book a call directly on my calendar. And eventually, I want to get that call directly on my calendar because I think Zoom is the best way to connect. You can use maps to show and demonstrate areas and so forth. So that's the best way. People typically are, they're planners. With people that come to my channel are planners, and they're looking in. Let's say they're coming down this summer. Here we are in the month of April, and they're a few months out. They'll book it way in advance, and I'm usually there for them when that comes. But I'm very good with people who are long-term planners, and I have people, Danny, that I've worked with for 3 years, and I'm just helping them, purchase today. So starts with a Zoom. They come down, and that's my niche. And I usually bring them to new construction. Reason why, and that's another one of my niches, is I have found that people from out of state or out of the area gyrate towards new construction. I know the builders better than anyone down there. I can honestly say that. I'm a new home co-broker, and I study what the builders do in terms of their incentives. I can tell them the differences between community A, community B, and people use me as a resource for understanding the differences between the different builders and different communities.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ray. That's awesome. And at this point, what percentage of your business would you say comes from YouTube?
90.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's fantastic.
Or it's related to that, meaning that
Sure.
I'm working with people like families. Like one family comes down, Danny, and then
Yeah.
I have one family right now that I'm dealing with: the mom, the three brothers. I mean, that's going to be, so it started with YouTube, but it went to three other members.
Sure. Sure.
So a lot of it is either YouTube or referrals from YouTube.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Ray, how many, because a lot of agents will watch this and say, like, should I do it? Is it worth the time investment, all this stuff? How many transactions does that relate to, annually for you out of YouTube?
Well, I look at like production in terms of dollar volume, probably more than transactions. There's a guy down here in my area that says he's like the number 2 EXP realtor, and he probably is in terms of sides because he does a lot of rentals, and I don't really get too involved with that. My price point is higher than average at EXP. I do $1-2 million places fairly regularly.
Yeah.
So last year I did about 22 million. I'm already at 12 million this year. So I'll blow that number out from last year. And each year I just grow more and more. Our goal is to get above that $1 million per transaction price point. That's a lot higher than what we have here locally, because locally in Palm Beach, the average price of a home is $650,000. So we deal in the luxury end.
That's fantastic, Ray. Congratulations on all that success. That's so cool. So to the kind of agent that's, let's say, considering doing YouTube, maybe they're not sure how to start, where to start, should they start, how long it takes maybe to get their first deal. What advice would you have for them?
Great question. If one were to consider it, it would require patience. I don't think that I had my first, when I say reach out, I mean someone calling me from the YouTube video. I don't think I had my first reach out for literally 6 months in. So what happens with a lot of people, Danny, is they start, they make a video. They don't see anything coming in and they give up. Yeah, that is actually fairly common. My discipline on this is I never did give up. One of the things you had asked me when we met in Dallas recently was, what's your superpower? And I'd say it is consistency.
Yep.
I have not missed. I religiously put out one video a week. I have a YouTube manager that, although my videos show like it's less, it's because I regularly review which videos. Some of them get dated, and so I replace them. I unlist them and replace them. But I say you really need, if you're thinking about YouTube, you have to be in it for the long run. It's an every week thing, and they have to be longer than short-term content. My videos typically average about 45 minutes each. I lots of times I'm talking about new construction communities. I look at them individually, or I'm doing stories on site, which I think people appreciate. The pros and cons of living in West Palm Beach, as an example, pros and cons in living in Palm Beach Gardens and things like that. So my goal is to relate to people. What would they want? And if you're starting out looking at YouTube, you should always keep in the back of your mind, if I were sitting there on the other end of the screen, what would I want to hear? What questions would I want to ask? What, pain points do I want to address? So if one were to go into YouTube, you would need to give it at least a year of being consistent before I think it's going to work. For me now, here we are again, 6 years in. I get calls on YouTube every day.
Yeah. Ray, that's amazing. And such great advice. I heard Mr. Beast one time say, like, come talk to me when you've done 100 videos. Because people will go to him and say, tell me, what's the secret? What do I do? And he'll say, well, how many videos have you done? And they're like, 5. And they're like, well, come to me when you've done 100.
Exactly. You need a track record before you can really analyze it. You're right. So if you go to YouTube and you see a living in channel, meaning like living in Houston, living in Phoenix, living in Denver, a lot of those people are our partners at EXP. And we have a group that actually teaches that. And so what happens is he won't even look at your channel. This guy, Jackson Wilkie, who you might or might know of from the Channel Junkies, he's and I emulate a lot of their strategies. He won't even look and analyze your channel unless you're 20 videos in, because you need a little bit of a track record before you can analyze anything.
Oh yeah, for sure. You need and YouTube's all about data. I've been on there for quite some time too with different channels, and it's just data driven. People always say, "Oh, the algorithm hates me." Like, no, just look at the data.
That's right.
If people aren't clicking on your thumbnail, then you got to fix your thumbnail. So
That's right.
It's great. Those guys are great, by the way. I have talked to Jackson a couple times. They're up in Houston, so I think they do a really good job, and I think they do a great job of giving out a lot of really good free content. So I don't know what their paid stuff's like, but the free stuff is really, really good.
There's a lot of stuff there that you can get for free. And answering your question from earlier, if you're thinking about getting started, go to their channel and just watch a couple of videos for free, and it can give you an idea what it's like.
The other thing, Ray, I love about YouTube, I will tell you, is that I think there's room on YouTube for everyone. Like, a lot of people have this scarcity mindset, like, oh, well, there's already 2 huge channels in my area. What would you say to someone who's thinking that way, and they're like, well, I'm in Dallas and there's 3 huge channels. I'm never going to be able to compete.
Right. I think you're right. Sometimes people do have a scarcity mindset, but they should really have an abundance mindset, because if you look at how many closings there are out there, I mean, I track it. Like this last week, we had like 3,100 closings in the Palm Beach area. I mean, if someone's doing 10 transactions in this month, who cares? There's plenty of room for both of us. And the truth is that if there were a couple of other competitors, and there are some in my area, I'm going to relate to a certain kind of person, and they're going to relate to another kind of person. My demographic, if you look at my YouTube analytics, I have a lot of people 45 to 65, especially 55 to 65. So I sort of have an older crowd, and I get a lot of people from the Northeast, primarily because I talk funny, So you're gonna get your audience, and just because I get that, they'll get something else. And you can relate. There's enough to go around, and if someone's thinking scarcity, it's the wrong mindset. You should be thinking abundance, because there's closings happening every single day, and if you do it the right way, they'll come your way as well.
Yeah, I love that. Makes total sense, Ray. So the other thing I was going to ask you, you mentioned earlier you have a YouTube manager, and I know we met and had a great discussion at a mastermind here in my city of Dallas about virtual assistants. And so I wanted to ask you, what does your team look like and your staff, both on the kind of transaction side and then on YouTube as well, to put all this together?
Great. Good question. So I don't have like a big team where a bunch of agents going around. I sort of like you and some of the people that were at that conference, that we utilize virtual assistants. It's great if you're a realtor and if you don't use that approach, you're absolutely crazy. Because we only have 24 hours a day, and if you want to try to get more production than that, you got to hire, just like your company that you alluded to at the beginning. You got to hire people to help you. So for myself, I have an executive assistant, I have a database manager, I have a transaction coordinator, I have a YouTube manager, and then I have a video editor. So all those people are working for me in the background. So when I go to Dallas and speaking with Danny, I have, all those people working on my behalf, editing my video that I did before I left on the plane, speaking to clients who are reaching out, making know that I need to call them later in the day. So it really is helpful. That's how my team works. It's getting to the point where what I am doing is speaking face to face with clients and making videos, and that's where my best opportunity is. The other stuff is best left to the other assistants I have to do, and they do a great job.
Yeah, that's awesome, Ray. So you have, I mean, I know you're humble. You said you don't have a big team, but that's a pretty big team. Obviously, you didn't start there. What advice do you have for someone who wants to, let's say, make their first hire? What was the best person to hire first?
Sure. So a lot of people will tell you hire an executive assistant first, and I think that is a good place to start. If you are a realtor, definitely, if you're doing your own paperwork, you're crazy. You need to hire a transaction coordinator. It is the people who have been in the business a long. I met an agent yesterday for lunch. He's in the business 20 years. He still does his own paperwork. There are some people that just are like, I don't want to say control freaks, but they just can't release control over to someone else. And that's okay, but just realize there's only so far you can get like that. So first two are going to be transaction coordinator and an executive assistant. It's like one and two. Probably the transaction coordinator first, and you can do that on a freelance basis if you want. Meaning that if you do a file, if you're working with a buyer or seller, and you open a file on that, if it doesn't close, they don't get paid. So they have every incentive to help you to do it. And if you get my average commission is probably about $20,000. If I'm getting a $20,000 commission and I'm giving up $400 to my roughly, which is what I pay to a TC, that's really I'll take that deal each and every time.
Yeah, Ray. So shameless plug. One of the companies we have is a full service TC company, and I'm always amazed. Like when I talk to agents, and it's called Exact TC. Link is below. But when I talk to agents, and they're like, I do my own, paperwork and stuff, and I'm like, why would you ever do that? I mean, you can hire someone essentially for maybe 10, $15 an hour is what it comes out to, and then you don't ever have to worry about that, and you can go focus on fun stuff. And then, some of the things I hear like, well, when I get busier, then I'll hire a TC. And I'm like, that's the wrong approach. Like
That's
hire
right.
a TC, you'll get busier,
No, that's right.
and
Yeah, no.
then you'll grow. No, so you got it right. That's for sure. Okay. So Ray, let's talk about, so one of the positions you mentioned was video editor. And I'm going to be fully transparent with you. This is an area I've always struggled in because I'm always, and it's funny. I tell people I tell people the rebuttal to this objection, and then I give it myself. Like, how is anyone ever going to be able to edit in my style? How are they going to make these videos look so good? So how did you make that work?
Sure. I mean, I had found when I used to edit the videos myself when I first started, and I was finding it was taking me about half a day to edit it,
Yeah.
and I really didn't do that good a job, to be honest with you. I went through over the years, especially initially, went through several different video editors, and I have one now that's been with me probably 4 years, and he's just got it down. I barely have to check him. I mean, he'll on the first draft. Lots of times I'll get the first draft and that's good to go. Or if there are some changes, some edits, there'll be one or two. It takes a while to get there, but really, most of the time I find, Danny, is that it's lots of times not the editor's fault. It's your communication to the editor. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what a lot of people don't. If you give them good they only as good lots of times as the instructions you give them. And so I have a process now where I'll divide it up. Literally, probably each raw video is divided into 10, and then I make a Zoom clip for called 00 numbers at the beginning of the file. video instructions. And he almost always gets it right because I do that. So if someone's starting out and they're doing it themselves, I think you're crazy. When you eventually go to hire someone, which is definitely very affordable and worth the time, just work on how you can help get your point across effectively to the video editor.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm interviewing for a video editor this week because I've been editing myself for too long, and it is now my marketing manager does do a good job of editing things like interviews like this, but then like when I do my more I would say action videos or talking head videos, I've been doing it myself, but I do need to outsource that for sure. That's a pain point for me. So I'll take your advice, which will be great.
There you go.
That'll be awesome. So Ray, a question about your area, Palm Beach. So when people are moving from a different area, let's say your area, the Bronx, what is appealing about Palm Beach versus, let's say, a Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Hollywood Beach, where my dad is?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's a few things that make it attractive. First and foremost, the weather. I mean, you can't beat the weather. The winters here are to die for. But wake up, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Goes up to 75, and that's a typical January day here in Palm Beach. Yeah, the summers can be a little bit hot, but I would challenge lots of people that say, oh, it's too hot. When I'm in Manhattan in July, it's just as hot. And, really is. We do get, the only difference is we get a longer summer than most other places. But the most of the year, the weather's great. It also gives us the opportunity to do things all year round. I play softball in January. I play softball all year round, and we can do great water sports. I mean, those are just some of the things. Now, other things, very favorable business environment is one. No state income tax is another. Homestead on real estate taxes is another. You guys have homestead in Texas, I know. Similar concept here in Florida. It protects you from creditors, number one. It protects you from inflation. If everyone wants to reach out to anyone to me, if you guys want to know what Homestead does, it does a ton. It lowers your real estate taxes, and it also caps the amount, your assessed value on your real estate taxes at 3% a year. So those are just some of the things. A lot of people are moving here. We're one of the strongest areas in the world, and definitely in the country. And I see most places around the country are seeing declines year on year. We're still up 5% year on year.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's a great area. I'm excited to meet up with you there when I go visit my dad in Hollywood Beach.
Nice.
Hollywood Beach, where all the Russians are.
Yeah, and a lot of fun too. Hollywood's nice. You have the Hard Rock Seminole, the Hard Rock Cafe there. The big what do you call it? The big the Guitar Hotel.
Yeah, the Hard Rock. The stadium.
Hard Rock, and it's right near where the Dolphins play, the best football team in the league. Don't I wish? And
are you a Dolphins fan? After
I
all
am
these
a
years?
Dolphins fan.
Wow.
It's a tough thing to be, but we are loyal. I'm a Dolphins fan and a New York Mets fan. I don't know how. I might be one of the only ones in the world, but that's what I am.
That's funny. We go. One of my best friends does business with the Dolphins, and so we go every year to a Dolphins game and hang out in Miami and stuff. So it's so fun. I love the culture there. It's a great time. How far are you from that area, like from Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood Beach?
So with no traffic, you can get there literally less than an hour.
Oh, okay, great. So you're close.
Pretty close. And watching a tailgating to a Dolphins game, when I used to tailgate the Jets, New York Jets, and the Meadowlands, and I was freezing when I did that.
That's right.
Tailgating Miami is just, it's everyone's in shorts throwing football around. It's an excellent experience.
It's so fun. Yeah, it's really a great time. And then like Jupiter and where all the PGA guys live, is that near you?
Jupiter, it's the northern part of Palm Beach.
Okay.
Jupiter has more professional golfers live in Jupiter than any place else in the world.
So when we get ready to move, when my kids all graduate, we get ready to move out there, you're going to get us a nice house there with like on the golf course, but also a big boat slip so I can get my yacht.
Listen, I welcome you guys. No doubt. I mean, and it's also the fishing here is great too.
Yes.
Boating capital and the fishing capital of the world. I mean, you can argue that the Keys is better, and you're probably right. But there's the Jupiter Inlet. If you go there early in the morning, you see people fishing off the inlet. It's a great one of the most beautiful places too. One of the best beaches too, Jupiter Beach, and just and a close or equally beautiful just south this place called Juno Beach. Two of the best beaches I find on the east coast of the United States.
Nice. All right. Keep an eye out for us.
I will.
For something good.
You'll be the guy causing trouble, I'm sure.
For sure. All right, so Ray, so we've been talking for a while, and if someone's listening, they might be thinking, man, Ray's got it all figured out. Business is going great. Everything's perfect. He has no challenges and no problems. Of course, I know as a business grows, as you hire people, there's always things going on. So what I want to ask you is, what's a challenge or something that you're working through in your business right now that you're trying to, either overcome or work through or fix or something like that?
Sure. I think in each stage of business, you're always going to have problems. It's just you want to make it such a problems are better problems, And to me, right now, my biggest problem is managing the growth. Figuring out. I'm trying to. I have one other agent on our team, outside the people I mentioned, so that I have her do all the existing home showings, and that's something I just started. So. And with the growth, it creates new challenges. So I went over to a new CRM with a great a website attached to it. So I'm getting a ton of people reaching out to us online at it's livinginpalmbeachfl.com. And so people find us there, and we get leads from that. So really, to answer your question, it's just managing the growth. And lots of times the answer to that is hire more people. You just have to just make sure the return on your investment is there, and if it is, and lots of times it is, just do it. And that's how you solve those problems.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I think most people encounter as they're growing and things like that. And then Ray, on that side, also you mentioned community like your your group that does the YouTube, and also earlier you mentioned EXP. I wanted to ask you specifically about that. So there's a lot of turmoil going on in the brokerage industry right now. How valuable do you feel being a part of EXP is? Because I talk to agents at all different brokerage, and so I'm always curious what value you place on that, and the luxury division I wanted to ask you about as well.
Sure. I mean, it was when I came to EXP, Danny, it was a game changer, really. Largest independent real estate brokerage in the world, in the country, however you want to do it. It's big. It's 90,000 agents, and every agent has a different way of doing business. So there are ways, like we went to that mastermind, a lot of them were EXP agents, right? If there's an element of your business idea that you want to implement, there's someone at EXP that has done it. It is a wealth of knowledge. Going to EXPCon last October, and there's one coming up this October, you run into even more people, and it's a wealth of knowledge. I knew prior to EXP, I was with one of those franchise real estate companies, and it's not a coincidence that my business went up a lot when I moved over to EXP. I knew at that old brokerage that I was going to go to EXP, but I also knew that it's important to get the right sponsor. So so if someone's looking at looking at the idea of moving to a company moving to EXP, just do your due diligence on the sponsor, because that's a person who's going to help you, show you around, so to speak, EXP. For me, my fit was that YouTube fit. Someone else, it might be an investor fit. It might be a more broader social media fit. There's lots of different ways to do it, but EXP, and I say this in all sincerity, is the best real estate company.
Yeah, and whoever's watching this, Ray, if they want to reach out to you and ask you about your experience, and if you can help them, if let's say maybe YouTube is something they want to chat about, or just business in general, we'll have all your contact information down below. I'm assuming you would welcome that call.
I would. Thank you. It'd be great. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Ray. That sounds good. And the thing I actually have loved about, I mean, all agents are great. I do find the EXP crowd to be a little bit more open about what they do, helping people, trying to really help other agents become successful, more of an abundance mindset, which I like.
Yes. It's consistent. It's consistent with that abundance mindset. It's exactly right. It's a good point.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And like you said earlier, I mean, there really is in real estate enough business for everyone, and you're not going to run out of deals.
No, you're not.
No matter what. Did I ever
Exactly
tell you
right.
my I don't think I told you when we met my Bronx story. My wife and I, we were out there. This was the last year of the Yankees old stadium, and
Okay.
her family is in Sheepshead Bay.
In Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, in Brooklyn. And so we were there, and then we wanted to go to a Yankee game because it was like the last year of that stadium. We had never been. So and this was before like, StubHub or whatever. So I
Yep.
go online, or no, I'm sorry, I go like the newspaper or whatever it was, the listings, and I find like tickets, or maybe I Googled it or something. So I call this guy, typical like Bronx, New York guy.
Uh,
He's like, all right, you're gonna meet me like in the bar that's down the street from the stadium. And I'm like, shit, like we're gonna get mugged or something. So but we go and I meet the guy like at this bar, typical Bronx dude. I buy the tickets. I'm like, 50% chance these are gonna be fake. But we get them. We go to the game. They are like the most unbelievable seats. I mean, they were like fourth row, right behind the catcher, and in the section of all the players' wives and families. So we had like the best experience ever, and then that was the last year of the stadium. So that's my Bronx tale,
I love that movie.
which is one of my favorite movies.
That is, I love that movie as well.
That's it.
That's a great story, and there's a lot of history. I mean, I'm a Met fan.
Uh huh.
The reason being is right across from the Yankee Stadium used to be the Polo Grounds, where the New York Giants, where a lot of the National League people root for them, or the Brooklyn Dodgers. But there's a lot of history to all those stadiums, and especially Yankee Stadium. It's been there forever,
Yeah.
in the Bronx.
Yeah, I cheer for the Dallas teams, but I'll never not cheer for my Dodgers and my Lakers.
There you go, perfect. The Dodgers are looking really good every year recently. They've got a good team.
Well, I mean, listen, if your payroll is, 8 times everyone else, it's not hard.
It definitely helps.
Do you miss living up there at all?
I do. I don't go back as often as I'd like. I was there for the first time since COVID, to Manhattan, last summer, and I was, to be honest with you, Danny, I was shocked how much it changed. And I lived in Manhattan, from the Bronx, but I lived in Manhattan for a good over a dozen years.
Yeah.
And, we lived in Hell's Kitchen. I loved it there. It was, when I worked on Wall Street. I was a Wall Street trader. It was convenient to everything, just to walk to work. It was phenomenal. I loved it. And when I went back this last time, it had changed so much, because of COVID. The restaurants in the street, and the bicycles. I mean, it's a different place. Still love it, but it's a different New York City from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. All right, so Ray, we got a lot of budding real estate agents watching this. They're trying to make it. Here's a great question for you. If I picked you up right now and moved you again, this time you're coming to Dallas, Texas. You
Okay.
don't know anyone, you don't have any business. What would you do those first 30, 60, 90 days to build a business? I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Cool. Very good. Yeah. So it's a challenge, right? You start, and a lot of people have been put in that situation, as you know, Danny.
Yes.
Um, so I would start a YouTube channel all over again. It would not like automatically get me calls every single day from day one, but it's more of a long-term play, and I would be consistent with it. I would be all over the place. Real estate is about making connections and speaking to people and making introductions. Whoever knows the most people wins, so to speak. So I would, I know people have done it, Danny, and they've been very successful at it. And I would start YouTube all over again.
Yeah, I think, and I kind of knew you were going to say that, because of the success you've had, in terms of long term. I'm going to challenge you a tiny bit. I think it would take you a little bit of time, right? Like you said,
Yeah,
you're
sure.
not going to get clients immediately. So, what would you do for immediate business? And I think this speaks to a lot of agents, either that are new or that have been in the business for a while, but maybe they're struggling in this market and really trying to get some business now, like this week, this month. What would you do for that?
I would still try to make sure that you are very visible. Things like Google My Business, starting a Facebook business page. These are all things that you can do in conjunction. If you do a YouTube channel, do these all at the same time. You want to have digital exposure. I know there are lots of people that do mailers and stuff. just not sort of my thing. And I know it works, but I think the way going forward is having a digital presence. I would be on Instagram, Facebook. I would look at getting a robust CRM, a client relationship management system, and something that has a place that they can find you. Um, Getting in front of as many people as possible is the way I would do it. And there's lots of ways to do it, but I would start with those places specifically.
I love that, Ray. I think that's such solid advice, especially, I think the punchline earlier was great. I mean, whoever knows the most people wins. I took mental note of that because that's so true, right? In real estate, in a lot of businesses, but real estate for sure.
It is. They have to know, like, and trust you. And you just have to, when I get people, Danny, calling me from YouTube, they tell me, I know you get this too, because you have a great YouTube channel as well. I feel like I already know you.
Yeah.
And I get that all the time. It's a great way to connect with people. If you're starting over, no matter where you are, figure out a way to get them on Zoom. Zoom is your secret weapon as a realtor. If you can get them on Zoom before you meet them, it will make that first appointment go that much better. I promise.
Yeah, for sure. I think also with YouTube, it's interesting because when they meet you, they probably kind of see you as a celebrity because they've been watching you on TV and on their computer, right? And you got the New York good looks, man. I mean, it can't go wrong.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I do get people that they feel like they've known me already. Even though that might be the very first time I'm meeting them in person.
Yeah, one other interesting thing that I have heard from agents that have channels like yours that do get a big following and people are calling them is that you're also much less likely to get like objections to your fee on listings or commission rebate questions. Is that pretty accurate?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I go in there with the mindset that we're doing business. I had somebody about a month or two ago basically call me up and like interviewed me. And I'm like, where is this going? That almost never happens. It's the first time that's happened in quite a while.
Right.
And I'm like, it's sort of like, I always address it from the standpoint that I assume they're going to work with me.
Yeah.
And then maybe part of it is the mindset, because if you speak that way, like as if you just assume that you assume that you're going to be working with them, maybe that confidence comes across. Maybe that's an element of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it helps, when you sort of know, they sort of know you a little bit. It definitely helps. But it's rare that I get people that that say, well, I'll get back to you. I need to check something. It just almost never happens, to be honest with you, Dan.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And what's interesting also, Ray, we talked about referrals a little bit earlier, but one of the things I do when I'm looking to refer a client to someone in an area, it's funny. I'll go on YouTube, and I'll search for people that have a channel because I want to know their personality kind of quickly before I call. I don't want to call 10 agents. I'd rather just YouTube them. And so, where I'm going with that, you guys, is if you're an agent watching this and you have referrals for Palm Beach or that area, check out Ray's YouTube channel. If that resonates with you, send your referrals there because he's going to do a great job, and you see his personality there. Of course, if you're also an agent and wants to chat about EXP, what that looks like, or YouTube or anything else, we'll have all of Ray's contact information down below. And of course, if you're a consumer in moving to that area, Ray's your guy.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. We get lots of referrals from realtors in addition to the end buyers. But yeah, it's a great avenue to make the connection to people to help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Ray, this has been such a pleasure. I wanted to hear, what are your final parting words for all of our young real estate agents that are one day looking to be as successful as you?
Sure. Thank you very much, Danny. It truly, again, like I said earlier, it truly is an honor to be here, and I really mean that. Look at the business, no matter whether you're doing YouTube or not doing YouTube, and no matter which manner you're doing business as a real estate agent. Then don't look at it like a transaction. Look at it like, you want to help that person. The agents that do the best are the people that genuinely want to help them. And you should I've always looked at it like how I can help. And I know the money just sort of comes. If your intentions are altruistic, and if you do what's right for the person, good things will happen. The rest of it always falls into place. But always always come into that situation with the mindset that you're looking to help them, and everything else falls in line.
I love it, Ray. Well, thank you so much for your time, for being here, for all your wisdom that you've shared and the knowledge. And this is just fantastic. I would encourage, every agent that's thinking about YouTube or that's on there wants to do well, give Ray a call, see what advice he has. If you're thinking about, that or brokerages or move into that area and you have referrals. So Ray, thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you, Danny.